What up, Eagle Talk fam?
Welcome.
Hey, y'all. We are so excited to be back with you for another episode. But first, let's check in, baby. What's been going on in the world of C. Lou? You went to a mastermind the other week.
I did. I was about to bring that up. I went to a mastermind with a really good friend of mine, Equity Cash Offer, owned by Mr. Donovan Ruffin. It was amazing. We spent 2 days. It was just 21 people in the room. And Tanisha Lusk always talks about getting in the right room. That was the right room. Me and my son learned a lot, and we're applying a lot of the information into our business. So that's what's going on with us.
No, I love that. I love that y'all went and that you invested in yourself and in your business. And Corey and I always talk about different mastermind opportunities and when we get in rooms and talk to other people. And sometimes, you go to these events and you don't hear anything like life-changing. Well, it's nothing that you haven't heard before, essentially.
Yeah.
But some of the nuggets that are dropped, are just kind of like that one small tweak in my business can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I think what I'm learning is it comes down to who you hear certain things from. Mm-hmm. Because I'm an avid YouTube listener, and I know that throughout the week I hear a lot of the same things, but somebody might give it a different way. Or their delivery, they just might use different words, right? That I understand, and I get those nuggets that way. So this was definitely something. The information he gave was top notch. We even got the slideshow on a lot of stuff that we need to do in our business. So it was worth the time and the money.
Yay! Well, that's good. So for me, my check-in is: look, I was at the beauty shop today, and my hairdresser was like, "I know you're not cheating on Corey." And I was like, what are you talking about? And she pulled up my new podcast.
Oh, yeah. Your bestie.
Yes. So I have started a new podcast, y'all, called the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Mm-hmm. And that is because for those of you who are just becoming acquainted with us, I am a real estate agent, former educator, and I've been going on Instagram, doing Instagram lives, talking and educating other realtors for probably 2 or 3 years now.
For a long time.
Then in a mastermind, the light bulb went off okay, why? And this is something else for all of you entrepreneurs that are following us, content creators. I know that we love social media, mm-hmm. but if everything you do, the other week I got my hair braided, the girl, all of her business, she booked through Instagram. And I was like, if Instagram cut off, right, there's your whole business, sure, right? So you need to do some stuff to invest. So anyway, I was like, look, I'm already going on Instagram anyway to do a live. I'm already in the habit of doing this weekly talk. Why not just record it, make it a podcast, and then we can have some proprietorship over that part of the business. So if you are a real estate agent, because I know we have a lot of real estate agents that rock with us on Eagle Talk, head on over and check out the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. It's just something else that I'm doing that I love, that we love. We got a lot of fun things kicking. So that's what I've been doing over the past couple weeks.
That's a great one. Congratulations. You worked really hard on that. Yeah. And it was a really good launch. You had a lot of people, a lot of downloads, first 3-4 hours. So that's pretty sweet. What you wanna tell the people what we're talking about today?
Yes.
I really don't want to tell y'all, but I share the good, so I'm gonna share the bad, and this is the life I live.
Yeah. So just in business, right, it's good to review your numbers. And we were speaking with our director of operations, and she was sharing with us what it looked like the Eagles want to talk about, right?
Yeah,
looking at which podcasts get the most feedback, which ones have the most downloads, views, and things like that. And y'all want to know about investing, and which is my baby's. We do some investments together, but he definitely is the one who spearheads most of our investments.
Yes.
And we share with y'all about renting and holding and Airbnbs, but we also need to share with y'all that sometimes investments don't go the way you plan them to go.
Yeah.
And we wanted to say this because I know a lot of people will think that, HGTV and quite honestly, sometimes savvy investors make it look easy.
Yes.
And then you get into a deal and you lose and you quit. So we're going to share with you the worst investment. Would you say the worst of all time?
100% the worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Corey's going to talk to you about the worst investment that he did it.
I did it. I overdid it.
He overdid it. He ever made, because we just want to be transparent with you about, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that stuff. So tell them about it. Tell them where the deal came from, baby.
The deal came from one of my resources that I buy from all of the time. Let me back up.
Back up.
I've been doing this over 20 years, whether it's investing, wholesaling, renting out properties, flipping properties. So I consider myself pretty knowledgeable. But this deal taught me that I'm still a student. I buy a lot of properties throughout the state, sight unseen, off photos, some of them just a front picture. And if the numbers are deep enough, I'll go ahead and close. This particular property, I did not get a chance to see the inside of it. It was a really nice brick house in Tyler, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It was the ugly duckling in the whole subdivision. The house was worth about $250, $265 after it was to be renovated, and I picked it up for $115. So I'm thinking I have
he like, man, I got
plenty of time. Yeah, plenty of spread. You know, if I want to rehab it, or if I want to just put 30 grand or 40 grand on top of 50 grand on top of it and sell it to an investor because of the square footage, the house should have only took about $40,000 worth of work. So I was safe. Okay,
you were safe. So let me just back up, because you said that you didn't have an opportunity to see it.
No.
So here's a little known fact of the houses that you buy. What percentage of them would you say you physically walk and see?
None. Unless it's local. Unless it's local. 30 minutes away.
Okay. Now, do you recommend that for a novice, like a newer investor?
No. Go see everything. Normally, I deal with a lot of realtors and just wholesalers and people that take pictures, right, throughout the state. So if there is a property in El Paso, I can just call a realtor, give her the code, and she can send me back pictures and video.
So you have the resources that you trust that can get you. Okay. So we want to just open that, like, this is a normal practice that you'll probably continue, because you can't go to every house in every state, but this one is just one I got burned on. But I'm kind of glad I did, in a way, because it teaches me, first of all, every house has a story. Second of all, it taught me to don't just assume because I had a situation before like this that there couldn't be one worse than what I've ever dealt with. This one was a hoarder's house, but it was a great grandmother that died and left the house to the grandmother. The grandmother died and left the house to the mother, and the mother died and left the house to the daughter. So we're talking about, I don't know, 80 years or more worth of just stuff in the house. And I'm gonna show y'all some pictures so y'all know I'm not telling the truth. So and I'm just thinking about that, because you think that if it would have transferred, it essentially transferred ownership 4 times.
4 times, yeah,
and
4 generations.
In my line of business, if we're transferring ownership, that means that somebody is cleaning out the house each time. But in this situation,
nobody
you had
ever cleaned out nothing.
great granny stuff still there on top of this stuff, on top of this stuff.
Yeah. So on top of that, the lady that lost the house, lost the house because it was a foreclosure when I got to it. She had mental challenges. So she literally was living in her car in the garage because it was just so much stuff in the house.
Wow.
Like literally, I think it was 9 dumpsters that I had to buy to just clean out the outside of the house.
Wow.
The inside of the house, every room, I'm 6'1", every room had 5'8" worth of stuff in there. You couldn't eat in the kitchen. It was just dead animals in the property. It was dead dogs, dead cats. Like literally the dogs were using the bathroom in the bathtub. It was the most just horrific scene that you ever thought. And the crazy part about it is once I closed and we finally got in, the first 4 clean out guys did not want to touch it. They wouldn't even bother with it. And then all of the neighbors had said for years, they were telling like the constables and the police officers, because it was 2 kids living in the house.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So you can imagine what that was like. So it was an eye-opening experience, and to just not give you guys all of the numbers, but it should have been about a $40,000 rehab. It wound up costing probably around $100,000, $105,000 to renovate this house, which I was not going to do after sending like 8 groups of contractors down there. I just said, let me just sell it and just take a loss. I wound up selling the property about a month later after like trying everything, multiple exit strategies, just getting a lot of people in there giving me some opinions of what's really going on. And at the end of the day, I sold the house to some people that were going to fix it up themselves, so their labor cost was low. And I lost $31,952 on this property.
Okay. Yeah. So how much did you sell it for?
$117,500.
But now let's back up, because you said you bought it for $115,000.
Correct. So I bought it for $115,000, but The lender that I use, you have, down payment. And, I financed 100%, but you still pay points.
Yeah.
You pay interest.
So you have closing costs.
You have closing costs, correct. And then you get carrying costs.
Yeah. And speaking of the carrying costs, unforeseen carrying costs that you had to pay was the actual clean out.
For sure. I'm thinking I've bought. So let me tell you just the magnitude of deals that I might do in a year. Last year I did 107 deals, right? Mm-hmm. Never came across anything like this. Maybe 6 or 7 hoarder houses. The average bill was $5,000. If I hadn't seen it, a $2,000 surprise. So maybe $6,000 or $7,000 in cleaning a house out, which is still a lot of money, but it's a hoarder's house. It's not a regular $1,500, $1,200 clean out. So I kind of expect that. But this one was just a total, like the worst I've ever seen. I've been doing this for a long time.
So how much did you pay for the clean out?
$23,000.
Wow.
Yeah, $23,000 to clean it out. Took a loss when I sold it, so I pretty much lost. Yeah, between closing costs and realtor fees, it's almost $32,000.
All right, y'all. So every deal isn't like that, but it happens, right? Yeah. It happens sometimes. And I like what you said, because I'm thinking about some investors you worked with some years ago. Mm-hmm. And the first, the people that ended up buying that house in Fort Worth was their second house. Like they bought a house, they rehabbed it, and it went perfectly well. And then they went and bought another house.
Oh yeah. My investors, yeah. Well, the second house the first house was just smooth sailing. They made great money. They were ready to jump in with 2 feet, which they did, and they bought a little frame house in Fort Worth. Really funky layout, and the house had termites. Yeah. The whole exterior of the property had termites, and that just shot their costs through the roof.
Yeah. So it won't be the same all the time. Like no deal. Every house has a story. We say that all the time.
Yeah, every house has a story, but this is what I say, and it can't always happen, especially to newer people in this business. Always have somebody to walk it, and probably only buy it if it's vacant. Yeah. Right. If you don't have a stomach or surprises and cost overruns and stuff like that.
And if you don't have the budget, because $31,000 can wipe a lot of people out.
31,032.
Out 10 years ago.
Yeah. It'll put some people out of business. You can't take a hit like that and keep it moving. I might be doing 8 to 10 deals a month, right? Right. But here's another lesson that I learned. It was a hit. Don't get me wrong, but I really understand the importance of passive income, because you will take hits in this business, but if these tenants are paying, and you got a decent cash flow coming in, you're able to take care of home. Does that make sense? Yeah, I didn't jeopardize our lifestyle with a loss like that. So it goes twofold. Again, I learned a lot in that deal, but would I do it again? Yeah, I probably did it today on something that I bought and I didn't see.
Yeah. So what would you? Okay. So I know some of y'all are like, okay, and some of y'all are clutching your pearls. Like, see, this is exactly why I'm gonna rent this apartment to the day I die.
Well, I love the art of the deal. It's just one of those situations where what happens when you get that home run. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's same numbers, same situation, and if that house, let's just say I paid $115 for it, and it was worth $250, $260. If I got it and sold it to you for $150, you put the 30 in it, and you still made your $30,000, $40,000.
It very well could have went the other way.
Exactly.
And we have to understand that without risk, there's no reward. But sometimes, you have to take the risk. Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because you said you learn from it. Mm-hmm. So, but you also said you gonna do it again.
Well, I'm doing it now in a couple of deals.
So, what lessons have you learned from the worst investment ever?
Probably one of the biggest lessons I learned is probably not even a lesson about the business. It's a lesson about myself. Okay. It's about my mindset, because I never A, didn't think I wasn't going to sell it, and I never B, thought I was going to quit or get out of the game. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to say I'm not going to buy a house that I don't see, because I do all the time. If I'm in Dallas and I got a house in San Antonio, El Paso, and Corpus Christi, and they all need to close next week, I'm not jumping on the plane or riding up and down the expressway to do that. You know what I mean? If it's a foreclosure and it's still occupied, if I can get my guys on there and give me the best pictures they can, I know the square footage, price per square foot on the rehab, I know what it should cost. Yeah. And then I'm gonna take another, 5-7% for any cost overruns or clean out fees. That's just my motto. So what did I learn? I learned that to have some tenacity in this game.
No, I love that, because sometimes I think that sometimes things are not going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it worse is if we belabor the point, right?
Yeah.
If we drag our feet, you could still be holding the property, bleeding out every single month,
Mm-hmm.
and then end up with a lower offer. So sometimes, and we did an episode about that a while ago, like sometimes you got to take the L before you take the W.
For sure.
I don't even think we were on a podcast platform when we did that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I hear you saying. It's like, you know what, you took a licking and you kept on kicking.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, there's something that I'm thinking about. The first thing I'm thinking about is just full disclosure. I don't want to make it sound like this is nothing, right? Because a loss is a loss, and that's a substantial amount of money. But another thing I'm thinking about is when I told you about the deal, I got no, I told you so, why did you do it, how did this happen?
That's growth in our marriage.
That's a lot of growth. So those are two things, right? It's two interesting perspectives, because that's divorce in some people's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if they borrowing from their 401k or however they did the deal, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? You probably, I might have talked to you about 15% of the time about this deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't, I mean, you knew about it.
Right, but I wasn't. You were just like, I'm so happy that I finally got rid of that title.
Yeah, and you knew it was an issue, but it wasn't a day-to-day conversation.
Well, let me speak to that, because I know that there may be some wives, some other people like, okay, why didn't you have more buy-in? But the thing is that we invest and this is where we have had issue before, and I think we do a better job now,
Mm-hmm.
because I only want to spend or invest what we can afford to.
For sure.
Right? So there was a time that we spent or invested.
You just over leveraged.
Right, when we shouldn't have.
Right.
So, and again, not that it wasn't a good deal, or it wasn't a substantial loss, but we could afford that hit. But on the flip side, it's not like that was the one thing you were banking on to go.
No.
Right. So you took that L, but that was one of 8 deals for the month where there was money coming in. So we were not in the red that month.
No. Even after
Yeah.
losing $32,000, I wasn't in the red, and that's a blessing. I don't want I'm not even trying to be like braggadocious.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I'm just being honest with myself and say, hey, that was a bad card I was dealt, with that situation. And I got out of it. I got out of it with some scars.
Yeah.
But mentally, you got to stay ready for this game, because there are opportunities with hoarder houses. There are opportunities with the Mansfield house we selling in a couple of weeks. That was a burnout. The house caught on fire. I can't walk the house and be like, it caught on fire. It's not a good house.
Yeah.
You just got to go through and do your due diligence and do what you need to do to get it up to code and back out there on the marketplace.
So what would you say? Let's kind of end it here. This has been such a good episode, y'all. Go ahead, make sure that you are giving us a 5-star review, leaving a comment. Like, have you ever experienced something like this? We would love to talk to you more about it. So what would you say to the investor though, Corey, who is like, I did it, I got burned, and I'm out? Like what would you say to them?
I don't know what I would say to them, because if you did it, you got burned in this business. I can't speak of no other business. If you did it, you got burned and you're out. That means that you didn't really study and understand this business, because
it might not have been for you anyway.
No, yeah, because everybody knows that 97% of the world's like high level millionaires and billionaires got it through real estate. So if one time turns you off that bad, then this is not the business for you.
And I'm gonna say this too, and that's okay. Right?
No, yeah. I mean, you can become a millionaire in a lot of other industries.
Yeah. It's a lot of things that you could do, and not be that. Well, before we go, I know we spent a little time talking about the worst investment.
Yeah.
If you had to name the best investment you ever made in real estate, what would that be?
Y'all know what I'm gonna say? I know what I'm gonna say. I'm not even gonna say it. You say it.
You say it. I want to know the best investment you ever made.
My house, the house we live in, the house we built 4 years ago. I'm happy to say that
that was a risk. Now you want to talk about one when we said this time we could afford to take the L. That time, if they would have took our earnest money, we would have been moving back with mama.
Well, I'm happy to say. And this, again, I'm not bragging. I'm just the type of person that I just believe in myself and my abilities, right? I bet on myself. Yeah. That was rough. I swear to God, with you, probably the only person that know, when I signed on the dotted line, we were not in position. I just said, I'm going to figure it out along the way. I think that was like August or something, and we closed in like April.
Yeah.
And every single day I just fought, solving problems, right? And we had
finding creative ways to finance.
Yeah. We had an unconditional way we had to buy it because I'm self-employed. I didn't have a W-2 at the time. So I had to find someone to do bank statement loans.
We need to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
And if you want to know my lender, I'll tell you. I should charge you for it, but it's Angel Oak. They're out of Atlanta. They do bank statement loans.
Well, our old lender, because we were able to refinance that out of it.
But how they work is they ask for 24 months bank statements, and then they take it and they average it out, and that's your monthly income. So that was
so it was very unconventional. I said unconventional. And the interesting thing about this best investment, which I will tell you that I was not on board, like how he's like, oh, you so chill about the 30. I was not chill about buying our house because I had just gotten in real estate, so everything that I teach and coach, we were going through about it a whole different way. But Corey was determined, and I will say, like, we, y'all talking about interest rates are high. We had to buy a house at like a 7.5% in 2018 when rates were like 4%. But taking that risk and doing the thing and grinding and doing what we needed to do, now the house is worth double in 4 years. 4 years.
We up 100% in 4 years, and we got a 2.85.
Yeah, we were able to refinance.
Yeah, refinance.
So if we would have waited to invest in that instance, then we wouldn't be anywhere near in the position that we're in now.
Yeah. So that's the best investment, hands down.
Yeah. I thought you was gonna say the best investment was me.
Well, I'm always investing in you.
I guess I'm not real estate. I'm not real estate.
No.
All right, y'all. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We just wanted to give y'all, it looks like y'all like investments, and we want to talk more about it. And we're actually going to just bring different guests. As a matter of fact, on the next week we're here, we are going to have a conversation with our 21-year-old son.
22.
I'm sorry, 22.
Put some respect
oh my goodness. I mean, I had him when I was 8. My 22-year-old son, our 22-year-old son, and we're going to talk about his first investment because he is embarking on an investment property.
Super excited about that.
Yeah, we're excited. So make sure that you come back next week. Make sure that you hang out with us, hang out with me and the Coreys, as I call them. And y'all, we'll see you next week.
See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.